Hey guys. Okay, so today's topic is all about being hangry, a mixture of hunger and anger. So a physical state of being hungry and the emotional state that we get into of anger. So I know you might think it's just a funny kind of way of saying this thing, but it actually is a real thing and has been proven to be so over the last few years. It's defined as the grumpiness you feel when you are hungry. Some of the most annoying characteristics or behaviours that annoy people are eating loudly, chewing gum with your mouth open, nail biting, spitting. These kind of things are the reason that people will shout out and get really angry. They're not the prime reason, but that's what tips them over the edge. So as I say, it's a real thing, and it's all because your blood sugar levels are too low. So you don't have enough energy to deal with the stresses, okay, of the nail biting or the knuckle crackling or whatever it is. Hunger may impair your self-control. So you're so hungry, you can't control yourself to whatever the issue is. Impulsive actions takes brain power. And when the brain is low on fuel, you just can't hold back. So this is one thought process. And an example of a study that was done in 2016 in America by psychologists was they got 236 students, college students, and during a study and a seminar, they made all their computers crash. Okay, what they found was those that had fasted before the test reacted more negatively, which seemed to add to their hunger-related feelings made by the induced computer crash. Okay, so that's it. Kind of makes sense. Some of the same brain regions are activated when you get hungry and angry, and there's a chemical in the brain called neuropeptide Y, and it does two things. The first thing is it prompts your body to react when, one, your energy levels are too low, and two, to regulate aggression. And this makes sense. Hunger is your brain's way of signaling the release of hormones. And that increases the amount of glucose into the bloodstream so that tissues don't starve. These same hormones are released when a boost of glucose is needed to, say, outmuscle a predator or run away from some sort of danger. Okay? So let's talk about the emotion element of hangry. So obviously the anger element and how it fits into the whole process. Because when I was doing research on this topic, I thought it'd be a 3-minute video, but emotions are a big part of our lives and how we think, and I think it's really important that we understand and self-regulate. So when we have an emotion, when we're hungry, we feel, and then we feel. How do we feel? Well, we feel frustrated, we can feel angry, we can feel stressed in that situation of being hungry. Why don't I have a bar? Why didn't I plan? It's somebody else's fault. Then you might feel, after your feelings, you get the physical feeling of my stomach is empty, my stomach is churning, might be lightheaded, tiredness, stomach rumbling, lack of concentration, those kind of things. And then, so now we have the physical aspect and we have the emotional aspect. We're not in a good place, and then that cues in a trigger that annoys us, and the trigger could be those behaviors or habits that we really annoy us. Pen clicking, the foot tapping, knee shaking, nail biting, any of those really annoying habits, and then that person goes off and explodes. So in between, what I'd like you to do is think about how can we not explode. And this video is really aimed at those people that do explode, or just ask a friend or a parent Do I get hangry? You'll know yourself if you don't ask, and they'll say yes or no. I didn't think I was that bad, and then I asked my wife and she said yes, absolutely, but you don't get angry. You just zone out, and the only thing you think about is food, so all other matters stop. So that's my emotional scale, is where my concentration levels are on one thing and I don't concentrate on anything else. So we have our emotions, we have our physical aspect, and then we have our trigger that gets us really, really annoyed, or just zone out as I do. And what I'd like you to pay attention to is the emotional response. So when we have an emotion, we think something, and then we have a behavior. So there's a response to that emotion. Okay, something has to happen. But in between the emotion and the behavior, in the middle, is where we have a choice, and we think for a second or two to ourselves, and then the behavior happens, whatever it is. So something happens, I feel this way about it, and you blast off. Or something happens, calm, relax, assess the situation, behavior happens, whatever it is. I'm in the car, someone crashes into the back of me, I jump out of the car and I go crazy. Okay, I'm in the car, somebody bumps into the back of me, I take a minute, I assess what's happening, am I safe, are people around me safe, is it safe to get out, do I stay in the car or not? A teacher gives out to somebody, they scream back straight away. A teacher screams at somebody or gives out to somebody, I deal with the response by understanding what's being said, and then I give a response, which is my behavior. Or I say nothing, which is also a behavior. Should I say nothing? Should I say something back? Understanding the situation. So the emotion leads to a behavior. But in the middle of the behavior, I'd like you to teach you something called paraphrases. And paraphrases help give you a positive trigger rather than a negative trigger, so the behavior is a positive one rather than a negative one. And these phrases cause an internal shift in your behavior. Okay, and they were originally developed by a man called Ivan Pavlov. So Ivan used to ring his bell every time his dog was eating food. Okay, he did it so much that when the dog was not eating food after a while, he would ring the bell. And the bell was the trigger. And the dog would start salivating. Okay? So the association or the meaning resulted in the action of salivating. Okay? So when our action or our feeling of being hangry, we can then have our paraphrase. And a paraphrase could be something like, come on, you can do it. Don't sweat the small stuff. If it's negative, let's just let it go. They're all your paraphrases. So if we're feeling hangry, this is you taking action now. Hopefully you'll be able to take this away. If you're feeling hangry, you now know that emotionally you're going to be angry or not paying attention to anything else until you get food. This is where we stop, we self-regulate. We have a paraphrase in our head where we might say something like, I have a snack in my bag, or it's okay, I'll be eating in 10 minutes. And then the behavior thereafter can be, I'll continue to concentrate in my class and it'll be all right to the end. Or don't jump out of the car for a minute, make sure I'm safe, make a phone call, get people to help me out, so forth. So paraphrases, understanding that moment between emotion and behavior, really, really important, and will stand you in good stead. Initially, this topic was just going to be about hangry and just being angry when you're hungry. But I think the psychological aspect of it is really, really important for so many other areas of your life. And lastly, I'd like to leave you with a few nutritional tips. I haven't spoken too much about nutrition, and it's meant to be a nutrition topic. So you're hungry and you're angry. To stop you being hungry, you're looking at maintaining your blood glucose levels with a steady state release of energy rather than your spikes of energy, no energy, energy, no energy. So foods that we're looking to get are repeating kind of my previous weeks: whole foods, high fiber based foods, slow releasing carbohydrates, You're looking at carbohydrates as your energy foods. So your pastas and your whole pastas, your rices, your fiber-based breads, any nuts and seeds. Protein on top of that, eggs, any meats, again, a few nuts. And when we combine those, the protein and the high fiber diet will slowly release the carbohydrate energy that you'll get. We're trying to stay away from your sugary based foods. That'll give you the quick kick of energy and then the sudden crash. So all your sugary foods, your bars of chocolates, your energy drinks, they're not energy drinks. They give you that spike and then you have no energy. So we're looking at just water. Make sure you're hydrated, along with protein and good carbohydrate based foods, naturally sourced from the earth. Plan your meals, really, really important. If you do suffer from being hangry, make sure you plan your meals, and that will stop you from, or it'll give you the arsenal that you need to deal with any situations where you do get hangry or under stressed situations. Always have a few snacks in your bags if you are, well, we're not traveling now, but if you are traveling around, or on your desk, try and have a few nuts. But you should find that if you eat 3 square meals that you are full from your food, and if you're not, well, then you have to look at what your diet is and make sure that you get enough nutrients at each of those meals so that you don't really need to snack because your energy levels are sufficient. Hope this helps, and any questions please ask me. Thanks guys.